Thank you for staying with us. The 8-month-long strike embarked on by members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, might have come to an end, but the impact lingers and is taking its toll on parents and students. As students head back to school, those living in hostels off campus might meet their properties outside or their doors locked, as some of the landlords have since leased the apartments to new occupants and jacked up the rent beyond the capacity of the students. For the students to get access to their apartments, some landlords are insisting that they pay rent for the 8 months that they have been away and then commence payment of an increased rental fee. The apology rendered by the federal government for the strike has done nothing to assist parents in raising the monies their wards will need amidst a raging inflation that has diminished their incomes. But joining us in the studio is a parent, Ejuru Sagua. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, Victoria. Good morning, Uncle Sam.
How are you?
Very fine.
Right. Now, this matter of ASU strike.
Sorry, Veronica.
Yes, it's fine. I have a sister called Victoria, so it's fine.
Okay.
This ASU strike, 8 months long, and we're seeing now the impact of this whole matter, where landlords of students are saying they have to pay for the 8 months they were away for and all of it. Let's talk about the complexities of the strike, how it has affected you as a parent.
Okay, yeah. The issue of the rent, accommodation, I think it's not the main issue. You should be looking at mental health for the students. You see, I have a 21-year-old daughter in the Federal University, so I feel it. You know, I see her, you know, totally no more interested in going back to school. You see, because 8 months, you know, it's enough time for somebody to forget about a habit. It's more than enough.
Right.
You know, so starting from COVID, they were out of school.
Yes.
Then you go into the strike. So it's education, you know, somehow becomes meaningless to them. You see, I had to explain to her that, listen, you know, she's doing different types of businesses, deliveries, you know. I said, listen, she said, I'm already doing what I would have been doing when I finished school. So why do I go back? I said, no, listen, let's have a discussion here. You need your certificate, okay? Nigeria is like that, you need your certificate. You know, so apart from this rent issue, most of the students are completely demoralized. You know, that the government and the whole system has failed them. You see, before the strike, before the ASU strike, you know, the students were already feeling disgruntled, okay? Because hostel facilities, for example, in the universities, you know, in the federal universities, you know, they are not much to write home about. I'm sure when Uncle Sam was in university, he must have. I've heard him talk about his stay in university, how it was very comfortable.
Yes.
You know, it's not.
Did I say that?
No, I think you said something about accommodation, something like that.
The meal was one
The
of
meal
the
is
things.
the meal I was talking about, not accommodation.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong.
Okay. The meal.
We had accommodation for, officially, probably accommodation was for 4 people.
Okay.
But if you came there at 10 p.m.,
Yeah.
you had about 12 people in there. Everybody's, we call them pirates. Yeah, you know,
Okay.
everyone sleeping on the floor, another one sleeping on the window, and so everybody had their own place.
Yes.
But
yes.
early in the morning, everybody woke up and you saw the beds and everything was cleaned up. But at night, it was a choir. Snore, meeting snore, and you know, and then you also had, you know, all kinds of body movement. So if you do...
I've got you talking.
So that was the situation. The meals were different matter altogether.
Okay.
Matter. But what we are focusing on today is not that. What we are focusing on is the fact that the children are having the same replay of ASU and federal government.
Yes.
ASU says, pay us our 8 months salary.
Yes, exactly.
The landlords are saying, pay me my 8 months rent. So the fathers, They are visiting the sins. They are visiting the sins of the lecturers upon the children.
Okay. You know, I mean, if we have to look at it
No, but
objectively,
how widespread is this problem where landlords are doing that? Because you know that in our time, the number of people who were seeking accommodation outside of campus was minimal, because we had fewer people who were admitted, and the hostels provided accommodation for most. There are some people who were living outside, those who had more money and so on, who could afford it. But for most part, even the children of the rich were on campus, and they tried to make themselves different by sometimes having cars and sometimes dressing differently, or making their apartments their own little cubicle look a little more luxurious than all that, and so on. But now we have people who are entrepreneurs, housing entrepreneurs, who build housing facilities very close to campuses, so that the students now live on those campuses. They pay to live on those places. So that is different. So my question is, how widespread is this problem where the landlords are saying, well, this place has been, you guys have rented this place, and since you have been away, I've not rented it to anybody, but it is because you people have an agreement with you. Now come and pay. It's not my business whether you are on strike or not. This my room has not been on strike.
Right.
okay, going straight to that, looking at it from the angle of the landlord.
No, by the way, you say your child is in Federal University.
Yes, exactly.
And she's not having this problem.
No, she's in. We balloted together, and she was able to get an allocation from the university on campus. Okay, but I have a nephew who went through a similar experience of getting his things thrown out. So I know how.
By the landlord?
Yes, exactly. You see, but you know one thing is this. If you go to a hotel, a few days ago I was in a hotel in Benin and we needed to check out. Okay? And if your checkout time is 12 and you still have your stuff there till 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, you're not going to start telling the hotel that, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay.
Unless you call them and say, please, can I stay a little bit?
Okay, yes.
My flight is so time. And
Yeah. So if I'm renting a place, and the agreement is I'm renting the place for 1 year, the basis for that rental is not because school is opened or closed. Okay?
It's not part of the agreement.
Yes. So you see, you have to look at it, and who takes responsibility? You see, if the first and foremost, it is laughable that a government will allow students, young prospects, if the leaders of tomorrow, which is just next door, to be at home for 8 months. Okay? So now the lecturers were not paid, and there's going to be there's a promise of a payment of backlog, right? So what happens to the parents? The parents who have to pay. Is anything going to be done for them? Then the landlords, I don't think.
So the parents are also calling for backlog.
No, you see, you cannot expect.
The parents are calling for backlog. Why the lecturers are saying you want us to pay us, the parents are asking that they do not pay. So you pay, you not pay.
Okay, let's put it like this. It is also possible that some of those landlords are having children in universities, they need to pay bills. And that's where they are earning their income.
That's their investment.
Okay, so we are looking at a government intervention, just like, in the UK, for example, government is taking care of some reducing electricity bills, reducing gas bills, So I believe that, at this point in time, if we have a thinking government, if we have people in government that are thinking, then there must be some form of brainstorming of what's the way forward here. These people have actually provided a service. Whether the school was open or not, as long as they didn't terminate the contract, the rent is running. So the government can sit down and think about it. How do we cut the cost of governance? To subsidize. How do we get people together? Using ASU professionals, ASU intellectuals, how do we work with the landlords and see how there can be a concession? Because there's no landlord, I don't think, I'm not a landlord, I don't have any property that I'm renting students, but I'm just being logical, okay? There's no landlord that you go and meet and he will say, you know what, okay, it's all right, no problem, you can come back and don't pay. It's going to be very rare because those buildings were set up as a business, not for charity. It's not an NGO, you know. So the government needs to sit down and see how will this problem be solved. You know, how do they get back? Not parents. Some parents are part of the system of ASU that we're not earning their salaries. Okay, so we have to look at it from this perspective. The landlord, yes, you want to meet a landlord. Just imagine you have a property and they come and tell you that, sorry, you know, because we're on strike and I'm not going to be able to pay the rent. Meanwhile, you have some lines of responsibilities that those rent incomes are attached to. You know, so we have to be reasonable. We cannot afford to be emotional. We have to be reasonable. As a parent, if I was in that situation, I would not, even though I will wish for a discount, but I won't demand it. It's not going to be an entitlement. It cannot be an entitlement. So we look at the government and say, okay, what do you want to do? Okay, this is what you are doing. It's a chain. It's a value chain. The lecturers are there. The students are there. The parents are there.
Well, the federal government can say, I didn't ask the lecturers to go on strike. Why are you calling? Why are you asking me? Are you asking me to pay?
Okay.
I didn't ask them to go on strike.
Good. Okay,
Yes.
okay. If you didn't ask, if the federal government didn't ask them to go on strike, then why would the same federal government want to pay the backlog? So if you are going to, why?
They are trying to pay the backlog. They are trying to pay the backlog. Of course, they are trying to pay the backlog.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to pay the backlog.
No, of course, obviously.
They didn't feel that they ought to pay. It was necessary to pay the backlog because they did not ask them to go on strike. Actually, in most places in the world, when you go on strike, you don't pay people. Yes, you don't pay.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria, actually, our labor system has become a sort of blackmail. When you go on strike, you take it as a responsibility. Let me tell you an instance. In the UK, these workers, those people who spray the firefighters, they had problem with their pay, and they wanted to go on strike, but they were reluctant. They interviewed them. They said, the reason I took this job was not only because I want to feed my family, it's also because I have a responsibility to this society. The reason you become a lecturer is not only because you want to feed your family and so on, but because you want to train young people. I'm not saying that they should not be fair to them, but that is why those people did not go on strike. They knew that they also had responsibilities at home, but that responsibility to society. You have to find a way to negotiate those responsibilities. We don't do that here because everything here is a looter. Yes.